All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today we are going to continue along the path of piety by looking at another subclass of the Cleric in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Today, we're going to be looking at the Peace domain. Peace domain is pretty self-explanatory. They are peacemakers. They like peace, and everything in the cleric's or the peace domain cleric's bag is going to have a lot of kind of conflict resolution feel to it, which I really like. A lot of people kind of misconstrue D&D and a lot of tabletop RPGs in general as just like really complicated combat simulators, which they're not. And being able to find ways out of combat encounters that don't involve just killing everyone that isn't allied with you, I think is one of the best and most fun aspects of 5th edition D&D. Let's actually look at the peace domain. First things first, very quick refresher on 5th edition class design. Every class is designed to play very, very differently right from the beginning. So each class is going to have what we call defining features. These are things that are unique to the class or intrinsic to the class itself in the history of the class, that you'll be able to use and just be able to kind of feel like, oh, I am a cleric because of these things. For the cleric specifically, their defining features. First of all, one of their defining features is their subclass, which they call their domain. They actually choose their subclass at first level. They're one of only two classes that actually choose their subclass at first. Most of them choose it at third. So their domain is actually going to change a pretty massive portion of their kits because of another thing that is a defining feature of the cleric, which is their channel divinity. Now, channel divinity is not unique to the clerics. To a cleric, paladins get it to do. The big difference being paladins only get one use and then have to wait for a short rest to be able to use it again. While as clerics start with only one use of it, but very quickly earn a second use, and then when they get to really high levels, they get a third use. Now, they have to take a little long rest before they get those uses back, but that does mean they can use Channel Divinity multiple times during the same combat, whereas Paladins can't. And if they can't get a short rest for whatever reason, then they simply only get one use of it. The other kind of unique thing about the clerics' channel divinity is all clerics share one of their channel divinity options, which is turn undead. The other channel divinity will actually be dictated by their domain. In addition to that, clerics are divine spellcasters. So that is kind of another defining feature. They are the only full divine spellcasters in the game. Whereas like arcane spellcasters, there's four. You have the wizard, the sorcerer, the warlock, and the bard. And natural spellcasters, you just have the druid. So the druid and the cleric are unique in the fact that they are the only kind of spellcasters from their specific power source, I guess you could say. And that gives them kind of some unique spells that not a lot of other classes get. So anyway, let's dive into the peace domain. First things first, they will always give you kind of a list of deities that you might worship that have peace as part of their portfolio, or it makes sense for them to be peaceful. The unique thing about this, like the last one, the Order domain, they basically gave you gods from different campaign settings. You had Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Dragonlance. This one, they do have Forgotten Realms deity in Eldath, would be a peace deity they talk about. Dragonlance, they have Paladin, and Greyhawk, they have Rao. However, they also have deities from. Oh, and they also have Eberron, which is Boldry. But they also have deities specifically from the racial pantheons, like the Elven pantheon, the Dwarvian pantheons, excuse me. So like the dwarven piece deity would be Baranar True Silver, or the elven deity would be really really hard to pronounce, something akin to Ankharad. Ankarad. There's a lot of H's in there that don't need to be there, and there's double letters. Like it's it's Elven. What do you suspect? It's hard to say without a stutter. So yeah, I always like this aspect of the Cleric because again, unlike a lot of other classes where you may worship a deity, but they're not really kind of intrinsic to the character itself. A cleric gets their spells and kind of their purpose from their deity, because their subclass and one of their defining features is their domain. The domain is a reflection of the thing that they believe exemplifies their deity in their mind. It can sometimes be a part of their portfolio, which, if you're not familiar with how the deities work in D&D, each deity will have a portfolio of domains that they kind of see over. They're not exclusive. Multiple deities can oversee domains. But when you look, generally, deities will have 2 or 3 different domains that they kind of reside over, and it kind of gives you an idea into the motivations of the deity. Yeah, I really like that they will actually give you ideas of, well, this is a deity you could follow, because then you can do a little bit of research and go, oh, okay, so that's why they recommended this, and it can kind of help you to build your character, because your cleric is going to be intrinsically linked to the domain itself, and so understanding why some of the deities oversee these domains can help you kind of define your motivations for your cleric. So really like that. So just like every other cleric subclass, you get domain spells. These are spells that clerics can prepare a number of spells per day. When they are choosing which spells to prepare, they actually have access to the entire cleric spell list. They don't like learn certain spells; they just memorize them every morning. The one difference to that idea is your domain spells. Your domain spells are spells that you always have prepared. They don't count against the spells that you can prepare every day. And sometimes your domain spells will actually give you access to spells that are not on the cleric spell list. For the peace domain, most of these make perfect sense. Things like heroism, sanctuary makes perfect sense. Sanctuary effectively makes it so that if a creature wants to attack you, they have to make a wisdom save, and if they fail, they can't attack you, which is a very peace cleric kind of thing. As you get to higher levels, you get things like Aura of Purity, or Odaluk's Resilient Sphere, which makes someone impervious for a little bit. And eventually you get Greater Restoration, which is a phenomenally useful spell, and having it just always be available to you is great. So yeah, nothing too fancy about the peace domain spells. Another thing you will generally always get with a cleric domain is additional proficiencies, which in this case is called Implement of Peace, which just gives you proficiency in the insight, performance, or persuasion skill, your choice. And all of those are real, just make sense for someone that is trying to make peace. A lot of people will kind of default to persuasion, thinking that's the most effective way to make peace, is to just kind of calm people down and persuade them to not, attack. But performance can be just as powerful a way to get people's attention. Any person in the entertainment industry will to tell you, a performance can be significantly more effective at changing people's viewpoints, and getting them to see something from a different angle than simply just to talking. So performance can be incredibly powerful tool used to change people's minds, and I like the fact that they highlight that here. And then insight in general is just always is useful. I think too many people only use insight as a lie detector, and there's so many other things you can use insight for. For my own background in sales, I read people exceptionally well. Spookily well. I've had a couple interactions with people where, due to my own just innate ability to read people and a little bit of training I've had in deception detection and things like that, I've actually been able to ask them very, very pointed questions, and not only figure out they were lying, but also be able to tell them what the truth was by asking the right questions and looking at tells and things like that. And when I was in sales, I was an incredibly effective salesman, because when I was describing products to a customer, I could watch their reaction, and the things that they were actually interested in, I could focus on, because I could tell, which is an incredibly invaluable tool to have at your disposal when you are trying to sell something, or even just trying to help a customer, because a lot of times people themselves won't exactly know what it is that they want. But emotions are a lot more difficult to lie about than words. So being able to read people is incredibly useful skill, and that's what insight is. It's your ability to read people. So yeah, all of those really good. But my personal preference would be avoid the persuasion skill, because it's just so overused, and come up with a way to use performance or insight for your peace cleric, because it'll be such a cooler, more fun character to play. The final thing you get for first level is called Emboldening Bond, which really defines the entire subclass. As an action, you choose a number of willing creatures within the 30 feet of you, equal to your proficiency bonus. So higher the level, the more these creatures you can use. Or you can bond. You create a magical bond among them for 10 minutes, or until you use this feature again. While any bonded creature is within the 30 feet of another, the creature can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw it makes. Each creature can add the d4 no more than once per turn. And you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So, at first level, this is effectively a concentration-less bless spell. Bless is super useful. It lets you add a d4 to an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. The one downside of Bless is it does have a limited amount of time that it works for, and it's a concentration spell. And there are a lot, especially for clerics, because of their kind of buffing capabilities. There are a lot of concentration spells that clerics can be using. So Bless tends to be really popular at early levels before clerics start getting their full kit of spells. and then no one ever uses it once you get to high levels, despite the fact that even though it's just a D4, a +4 to an ability check is really, really big. It's better. It's better than advantage as far as mechanically how much it affects things. So yeah, super useful. Um, so yeah, so but bare minimum, you're getting a free, or not yeah, well, technically a free blah 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 spell, because you don't have to waste a spell slot on it. And as you get higher, there will be more aspects of the bond. But right from first level, this is an incredibly useful ability, and really makes this cleric a really, really good support cleric. A lot of people will think of clerics in general as, oh, they're the healers, so all they do is heal. And that was one of the things I actually liked about 4th edition clerics, and the entire leader role in 4th edition. 4th edition, every class was sorted into one of 4 roles. You had defenders, which were designed to take damage and get enemies to attack them. You had strikers, which were designed to do damage. You had controllers, who were designed to just be able to control the battlefield. They could they could generally like move other characters around, or impose status effects and the things like that. That they were really good at just controlling the battlefield. And then you had leaders, and leaders were there to keep the party alive. They were your healers. The nice thing about 4th edition, though, is almost all of your healing abilities were minor actions. And the way the action economy worked in 4th edition was you had a move action, you have a major action, which is how you used your attacks, it's how you used most of your powers, and then you would have minor actions. And minor actions could be things like teleportation, they could be things like turning on an effect on yourself, or for leaders, their healing actions were minor actions. So in 4th edition, clerics could actually fight in combat while still keeping people alive. Now, they would still have major action abilities that could heal as well, but in general, they were mixed in, like you would never just heal with a major action. You would heal and do damage, or heal and do a buff, or something like that. And if all you wanted to do is heal, you would like minor action heal, and then go in. 5th edition took that and kind of kept it somewhat with the idea of bonus action healing spells like Healing Word, and a lot of the cleric abilities. If you are meant to be that kind of healing style cleric, they will give you the ability to still kind of support your party and keep it alive in different ways that allow you to still use your action to do cool cleric-y stuff. Or they will give you things that you can activate, like Spirit Guardians, where you can activate Spirit Guardians, and that's a concentration spell, but that means you just kind of walk around and you can do damage without using your action, so you can use your action to heal into the things like that. So I like the fact that clerics don't have to sit back and, like WoW style, just spam heals the entire combat encounter. And so the thing I like about the Peace Domain, specifically with Emboldening Bond, is this is an action you take probably even before battle starts, or if you're caught and not prepared for battle, right when battle starts, to give your team a really, really useful boost. And then for the rest of battle, it doesn't matter if you get hit, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you want to cast a different concentration spell, this is going to continue going and continue offering more benefits. So really like that. And then even more cool stuff happens as the class continues going. At 2nd level, you get your 2nd channel divinity option. Again, every cleric can use Turn Undead Dead, but the Peace cleric can also use Balm of Peace. As an action, you can move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And when you move within 5 feet of any other creature during this action, you can restore a number of hit points to that creature equal to 2d6 plus your wisdom modifier. And a creature can receive this healing only once whenever you take this action. You get to walk around healing people. And depending on how close your party is, you can heal your entire party with this ability. And the nice thing about this is because it's your action, this effectively means you can use this as a double move combined with a heal. So this cleric specifically doesn't get proficiency in heavy armor. So you're wearing, more likely than not, you're wearing medium or light armor. So you're not really designed to be up in front in combat. With this channel Divinity, you have a lot of options. Obviously, you can just use it for the healing. You just go around and touch, and give everyone a remarkably large amount of hit points if you can heal everyone on your team, which is very possible, especially if you can bind this this cleric with something like if you're a wood elf. You can they have a higher speed. They have a 35-foot speed instead of the 30, which is always nice. And then if you take the mobility feed, which gives you an additional 10 feet of movement, like this can become a really, really powerful thing. Or if you have other like magic items or spell effects on yourself that increase your speed, you can do a lot of healing with this. However, because you don't provoke opportunity attacks with this can also be a very defensive move, where you're in a situation that you don't want to be in. Maybe you're surrounded by enemies, or you're being, targeted. You can literally just walk away from them by going, "Peace be with you, my brother," and then walk around. And as you pass by your allies that are going to go, screw them up, you can go, "Oh, hello, my good friend. Go fuck them up." And touch up and go, here's a little healing, walk away, and then you still have your entire move action to get further away from combat and save yourself. I've mentioned before, cleric subclasses are kind of divided into melee subclasses and spellcasting subclasses. We will find out in a little bit. But spoiler alert, this is a spellcasting one. It gets potent to spellcasting. So this Balm of Peace can be really, really useful in getting some distance between yourself and the bad guys while simultaneously helping your party. This is effectively 2 actions in one, which again, when we're talking about action economy, is really, really helpful. If you can get multiple uses out of this as a single action, you have effectively doubled your action count for that to the turn, which is really, really nice. So I love this. I love all the different things you can do with it. It's great. At this is 6th level, you get what's called Protective Bond, which improves your Emboldening Bond, which I can't remember if I mentioned this, but part of your Emboldening Bond, you can include yourself in that bond, so you can be bonded to these other people as well. But Protective Bond. When a creature affected by your Emboldening Bond feature is about to take damage, a second bonded creature within 30 feet of the first can use its reaction to teleport to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the first creature. The second creature then takes all the damage instead. So this is really, really interesting because, again, this is an ability that pulls double duty. First of all, it's a reaction ability, which is always useful. Again, action economy, you want to use as many actions every turn as you can. On your turn, you want to use your move action, your action, and then your bonus action. And then when it's not your turn, you want to use your reaction. The more often you're using your reaction, the better you're going to do. With Protective Bond, first of all, it gives you a reaction you can use. Second of all, this is a teleport ability, so you can actually use this to rearrange the battlefield. And third, it's a way to transfer damage. So characters with high hit points, like fighters or barbarians, can ensure that the characters that can't take as much damage, like sorcerers, wizards, things like that, can play a little bit more aggressively and not have to worry about their target being or their character being knocked out or anything. So with this 6th level feature, you are effectively giving your players or your party the ability to be very, very aggressive with their characters that would normally have to be very, very cautious because they can't take a lot of damage. I will always think of monks first because monk is the class I love to play. And one of the things it took me a while to learn when I was playing a lower level monk was the patient defense option is essential if you're going to be running into combat to do stunning strikes and things like that. Mostly because monks can't take a lot of punishment. Until you get to higher levels, you don't have a great ACC, especially if you're not getting very specific magic items. Like bracers of defense or things like that actually raise your AC because monks can't wear +1 armor or something like that to make them have a higher AC. I in one of the adventures, I think every combat encounter by like the second or the third round, my monk was unconscious because I was playing them just far too aggressively. With Protective Bond, you actually can play an extremely aggressive monk because as long as you have someone that can take some hits for you, you don't have to worry about your monk being knocked unconscious, and you can go in and burn all your key points doing stunning strikes and flurry of blows, and just doing as much crazy damage as possible. And the same thing is true about like if you want to play like a melee based sorcerer. Or a touch-based sorcerer. You can actually do that. They have a couple really cool sorcerer spells that are touch-based, including Shadow Blade, which actually gives you a melee weapon that you use your I think it's either a finesse weapon, I think. But it does crazy amounts of damage. So if you want to play this kind of really cool sword mage kind of character without being an Eldritch Knight with all the armor and everything, Protective Bond will let you do that. It'll let your other players play very unique characters and not have to worry so much about getting hit. So really, really love that. And like I said, the teleportation aspect can also be really useful. Teleportation doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. So if you have a character that is just in a bad place and needs to get out of there, again, let's think about my monk that would run into a group of 5 enemies and punch 2 of them and then hope that they would live to then in the next turn. All you need is another character to take damage. And it doesn't have to be they were attacked. They just have to take damage. That's all that it says. And your character can teleport across the battlefield up to the 30 feet away and be taken out of a bad situation. So don't just think about this as, oh, it's a way to transfer damage. That is part of it. But the teleportation aspect is an incredibly powerful part of it as well. And because it's linked to just taking damage, that means if a character takes falling damage for whatever reason. Like they get pushed off a balcony or something. That means someone can actually teleport directly to that character, and perhaps even use that as a way to retreat. You know, if you've got a situation where you have people that are effectively behind enemy lines, or half your party is behind enemy lines, and you need to get the heck out of there, have them jump down a 10-foot drop. You'll only take a d6 of damage. But anytime someone takes damage, as long as they're within the 30 feet, someone can teleport. So yeah, you could effectively teleport half your team across 30 feet by just falling off a cliff. So yeah, lots and lots of uses for that. At 8th level, you get Potent Spellcasting. This is, as we've said before, this is just kind of telling you that you are supposed to be a caster cleric instead of a melee cleric. Specifically, you add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any cleric cantrip. It's pretty self-explanatory. It means your cleric cantrips are going to be much more akin to the attack actions that other classes can make, because you can now add a modifier to it instead of just a flat roll. And it's really nice, especially since cantrips scale with your level. So unlike melee clerics, where they're only getting that, weapon damage and then one other damage die that eventually turns to two other damage die. By the time you're 8th level, you've already had one boost to your cantrips. And when you hit 11th level, you will have two boosts, meaning your cantrips are, at that point, doing triple the amount of damage they would do at level 1. And when you get to I think it's 11, and then it's either 14 or 17 that the last level comes, you will be doing quadruple damage with your cantrips, and now also getting to add your Wisdom modifiers. So very, very nice. At 17th level, you get Expansive Bond. And this does two things. First, Protective Bond and Emboldening Bond now work when the creatures are within 60 feet of each other. And when a creature uses Protective Bond to take someone else's damage, the creature has resistance to that damage. So this really, really change things, because this not only does this mean that you are able to kind of transfer damage to the characters that can to take it the most. This also means that you effectively can have resistance to any damage. No matter what type, you will just gain resistance to this. So this effectively means any bonded creature, which by the time you're 17th level, your proficiency bonus is 6. So most D&D parties are 4 or 5 people. So this effectively means your entire party should be bonded, because you have 6 uses of it per day. You generally will not get into combat 6 different combat and counters, so you will always be bonded in combat. And anytime somebody takes damage, anyone can use their reaction to have the damage, effectively weakening the actions of the other team. Now, obviously, not every character is going to want to use their reaction only for Protective Bond, because other characters are going to have other reactions that are very useful. But when you have 5 other people in your party that all have a reaction, there's a good chance that it's going to be rare for anyone to ever take full damage from an attack other than like group attacks that hit your entire party, and so no one can really afford to do. Well, actually, no. In that particular instance, you would literally, everyone would be able to just protective bond each other, and they would all just teleport to each other. Because you all take damage simultaneously. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. As far as the teleportation and an aspect what works, but yeah, I mean, you transfer all the damage to another character. So yeah, like this effectively means as long as you have a reaction that you can use, you can have almost all damage to the entire party. As long as you have enough characters that want to burn their reaction for it. Now, obviously, they're not going to be using this every single turn because there may be some instances where you don't want to teleport. You're in the exact right spot, or the person you're teleporting to is surrounded by bad guys. Or they may just not have a square within 5 feet that you can teleport to. But yeah, I mean, for a 17th level ability, this changes the game, and again, it really turns the peace druid into an amazing support class simply by them existing in the space. They allow for effectively almost all damage to be halved. They allow your team to be hyper mobile because anytime somebody needs to move somewhere, instead of having to waste their move action on their turn or double move or something, as long as someone is a little bit closer than they are, they can teleport if that person gets hurt and then move up to where they need to be. So this, in addition to be a really nice defensive move, this can be an incredible tactical ability to ensure that your characters are always in the exact place they want to be. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just awesome. I love everything about this. So, yeah, final thoughts. Overall, I love the Peace Cleric. The domain spells are fine, really interesting. Implements of peace is fine, but that Emboldening Bond is the thing that I really think defines this as a subclass and changes everything. In addition to all the other stuff that you get, the protective bond, the expansive bond, that makes this incredible tactical thing, they're also effectively permanently blessed. They're always adding a D4 to their rolls. The only limitation is they can do it once per turn. And again, remember that a limiting factor. It's once per turn, not once per round, not once on their turn. So anytime they're making a check when it's not their turn, as long as it's another, a new turn for someone, they can roll it again. So effectively, if they get a spell cast at them every single time turn by a different character, and they have to make a dex save every single turn, they can add the D4 every single time. And unlike Bless, you never have to worry about losing concentration on it. The Channel Divinity, I love. Again, tactically, you can use it to get out of bad situations. You can use it to get into bad situations, depending on how you wanted to do it. And it's healing. It's pulling double duty. It's a movement and a heal, a triple duty, actually, because it also counts as a disengage. Without being a disengage, so things like Sentinel won't proc because you're not using the disengage action. So it's just an incredibly useful ability. And then we've talked about Protective Bond and Expansive Bond. They are game changers. A party with a Peace Cleric in it, the whole party is going to play very differently, rather than just the cleric themselves playing very differently. And I think that is massively cool, that your character choices can actually affect how the entire party plays instead of just how you play as a part of the party. So super cool. Anyway, that is going to be all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. I cannot emphasize this enough. Just taking a second to hit that like button does massive things. I am actually seeing my videos in recommended tabs, and I'm actually getting traffic from recommended stuff. That is entirely from you guys watching this, from you guys liking the videos, and from you guys commenting. All of those things actually help it to get recommended, which is a huge thing for me. I've never showed up in recommended feeds before, so super excited about that. Also, if you're new here, if you like what I did to do, hit the subscribe button. I am currently on a 4 video a week schedule. So Monday, Wednesdays are my D&D deep dives. Tuesdays and the Thursdays are TJ and friends play games. Right now the game is Grimrock. Yeah, definitely to check that out. All my videos go straight to your subscription box. And in addition to that, go ahead and hit the notification bell and turn notifications on, because that means in instances where YouTube forgets to send my stuff to your inbox, or it's a busy day and my videos get buried under stuff, or my mental health starts acting up and I release videos at weird times, like 1 in the morning, you get a little notification, so you never have to worry about missing something cool that I do. In the comments below, what is the phrase you are going to use when you use your Channel Divinity Balm of Peace to tell your paladin or your barbarian or your fighter or your rogue to go fuck up the dude that just punched you in the face? I want to know what that phrase is going to be. Put it in the comments below. Extra points if there's no context to it. You just randomly put, go fuck him up, dude, in the comments, because that will mess with everybody's mind. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye!